Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning if you're on the West Coast or some part of the world that is not the afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. It's nice to be here, alive, pretty healthy, and doing okay on a Sunday mid-afternoon, hanging out, live streaming for and with y'all. Now, for today's entertainment, I should probably introduce myself, shouldn't I? My name is Nato Coles. I am 40 years old. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Don Giovanni Records was kind enough to put out my band's most recent album, Flyover. That came out last November. In a non-pandemic world, there's a good chance I'd be on tour right now, trying to convince all of you that it was the best album you ever heard since Kink's Controversy or something. And we don't have those circumstances around, though, unfortunately. So the next best thing is for me to play some songs for you. Now, that's not all I'm going to be doing today. I've got a couple friends, people I live with, who are going to help me out later on the broadcast. I'd also love, if anybody has any requests, I might be able to fit them in towards the end of the program. But it's not all going to be acoustic guitar stuff. It's not all going to be acoustic guitar stuff. Just some of it. And since I like to roll out of bed right about the crack of noon, I figured I'd have one more sip of coffee and play you a song about it. I wrote this song back in my living in Brooklyn, New York days. Recorded it, put it out on a record with a band called the Radio Faces, which featured Justin Sullivan from the Ringers, Mikey Erg from the Ergs, and Jamie Ewing for Bent Out of Shape. The album was called Party at the Bushwick Hotel. The song is called Coffee Cup. Walking down the alley where the wires split the sky, going out for coffee cause my tank is getting dry. And every step I take I'm contemplating you and I. If you're lost, I'll get you found. And if you're lonely, I'll come around. And if you're down, I'll pick you up and keep you up. I'm your coffee cup. Every dollar that I get, babe, burn up in my hand. Every notion that I get, I just forget my plans. But if I get you, girl, I'll be a good and faithful man. If you're lost, I'll get you found. And if you're lonely, I'll come around. And if you're down, I'll pick you up and keep you up. I'm your coffee cup. Now, manning the comments section today is my best friend, my wife, and great rocker in her own accord, Sarah Pett. And she will be moderating the comments. Any criticism of the Milwaukee Brewers will get you banned. But anyway, thank you, Sarah. And you'll be actually hearing from her later in this program. Sometimes I look around, I wonder what I see. Problems of the nation, they really get to me. But when I get you in my arms, I'm happy and I'm free. If you're lost, I'll get you found. And if you're lonely, I'll come around. And if you're down, I'll pick you up and keep you up, baby. I'm your coffee cup. I'm your coffee cup. I'm your coffee cup. I'm your coffee cup. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much. Warning, fair warning, you may have a dog walk past the camera once or twice or more during today's entertainment program. All right, now folks, I hope you're all staying healthy and taking care of your mental health and physical health in these times. This is an unprecedented event in our lives, unless you were old enough to have lived through the polio era, or perhaps some of my very old viewers might remember the Spanish influenza, which was actually originating from Kansas. But we don't need to go into the history of that. No, I'm bringing that up because, like I said, I am 40 years old. I turned 40 yesterday. I have no problem celebrating and self-promoting my birthdays. I think it's actually psychologically healthy to invite everybody in with you as opposed to waiting for them to invite you in when it comes time to celebrate what might be correctly or incorrectly perceived as, oh, I don't know, getting old. So rather than just dwelling on that, it's kind of nice to have a party. Well, where was I? Oh, yeah. This pandemic is unprecedented. It has rearranged all our lives in a way that is only in my lifetime. Again, forget polio, forget the Spanish flu. In my lifetime, the only event comparable would probably have to be the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and that weird field in Trumpland, Pennsylvania. So, anyhow, when I learned that the World Trade Centers had been hit by two hijacked airplanes, at first I thought it was a joke being perpetrated by my roommate Ben Woyak, who was in the Modern Machines with me. Some of you might know him. But then I realized that that would be a pretty bad, dare I say it, even tasteless, and we were tasteless to begin with, joke to knock on your roommate's door at 7 a.m. and tell them that the World Trade Centers are on fire. So I got up and turned on the news. Well, here's why that fact is relevant specifically to this anecdote. At the time, we were living in a house in Milwaukee, and two guys were staying on our couch. And one of them, well, I stayed in touch with both of them for a while. One of them did become a good friend of mine out in the East Bay. And he had introduced me to a band that I'd never heard before. Just want to make sure I have my notes in front of me. He had introduced me to a band that I'd never heard before, and I loved their music. This band was called Uncle Tupelo. And so I will always remember that strange time in my life, the September 11th, 2001 attacks, as also the time that a couch surfing punk rocker who looked me up on bookyourownfuckinglife.org introduced me to the wonderful music of Uncle Tupelo. And so for all of you Uncle Tupelo fans, here's a song by that band called Still Be Around. I don't see you through the windshield. I don't see you in faces looking back at me. Alcohol doesn't have much that matters to say. Can't imagine where you and time to kill will stay. The Bible is a bottle, the hardwood floor is home. The morning comes twice a day or sometimes not at all. If I break in two, will you put me back together? When this puzzle's figured out, will you still be around? Saying, just been there, walking the line upside down. I walked and breathed many a cancerous mile when the bat of an eye is too slow slow to beat the coffin. They won't tell it on TV. They can't say it on the radio. Pay to move it off the shelf or into our minds, so you can't see the truth when it's right in front of your eyes. When the Bible is a bottle, the hardwood floor is home, and morning comes twice a day, or sometimes not at all. If I break in two, will you put me back together? When this puzzle's figured out, will you still be around? Just say you've been there, walking the line upside down. And that was Uncle Tupelo's beautiful song, Still Be Around, off their second and, in my opinion, best album. It's called Still Feel Gone. I didn't promise there would be no learning during this live stream midday hangout, so sorry folks, you just learned something if you didn't already know. Well, I'm having a lot of fun this afternoon, by the way. I've got my Miller High Life in Minnesota's finest koozie. That would be Spam, if you can read it, and not Hams, both of which are great Minnesota products, but Hams is no longer made in Minnesota, as opposed to Spam, which is definitely made in Minnesota. All right, so I'm trying to make this a little different. I'm trying to make this not Nato sings and plays songs you have songs you have on albums I've played on. So you know, an Uncle Tupelo cover kind of made sense. I got some more covers coming up. I've got some non-music events coming up. In fact, stay tuned. After this song, we're going to be hearing from an old baseball player. But this is a brand new song. This song is called The 4th of July. One day, I hope to play it, backed by the amazing people in the Blue Diamond Band. Full volume, but right now, you can have the acoustic version, and I promise that if I fuck it up, you won't know, because you never heard it before. The 4th of July. That you're leaving, thinking about leaving it all behind, feeling so bleak and so depleted. But can I ask a moment of your time? Come sit by my side. Stick around here tonight. We'll watch the sky come alive. On the 4th of July. High above the Mississippi River, the eagle's flying, unconcerned about what's down. And I wish to be her and you. Leave your troubles on forgotten ground. come sit by my side. Stick around here tonight. We'll watch the sky come alive. On the 4th of July. Don't leave this valley. Don't take that ride. Won't you listen to me? Hear my heart tonight. The blackest waves keep on crashing. Sometimes it feels like sand castles against the tide. But I promise to be a true companion, 'cause nobody can alone survive. Won't you sit by my side? Stick around here tonight. Watch the sky come alive. On the 4th of July. On the 4th of July. The 4th of July. Maybe by that point we'll be able to see some live music and come see one of our shows. Maybe I'll play that song for you with louder, better, and more talented musicians at my side. Cheers, and thank you. Well now, I think it's fair to say that I'm a fan of the great game of baseball. Probably my favorite thing that isn't rock and roll and hanging out with good people. So, excuse me for 1 second. A great writer who's around today, contemporary if you will, named Joe Posnanski, befriended the great relief pitcher from the 1980s Kansas City Royals World Series winning team, Dan Quisenberry. Dan Quisenberry was a very thoughtful guy. He unfortunately passed away a little young from I think it was the same brain cancer that killed Ted Kennedy and John McCain. I could be getting that wrong. Very unfortunate. He died in his late 40s. But he was a thoughtful man, and he actually has written poetry over the years. And this is his book of poetry. And I'd like to read to you 2 selections from this book now, if you don't mind. And somebody stole my seat. So I think I'll read from the floor. I'm going to read one poem that is mainly about, it relates directly to his career and the career of one who has played baseball, and then one that does not. So 2 total. The first poem that I'd like to read for you is called The Double Play by Dan Quisenberry, a man whose last name sounds like a fruit that makes you smarter when you eat it. The double play. I come into a 1-out, 1-on jam. Score 3-1. Good guys ahead. Fans hooting, hollering, and buzzing like hornets in the newer town of York. Skipper says, "Get us a grounder and let's get the hell out of here." I check with Duke, the catcher, and tell the wad in his cheek we're throwing all sinkers. And he says, "Make 'em all inside," and pats his chest for emphasis, because we both know Willie doesn't like 'em there. Willie knows it too, but he still doesn't like 'em there. After 8 tosses, 3 dirt swipes with my toe, 2 grabs at the rosin bag, 6 tugs of my cap, 3 spits, and 1 jock adjustment, I go to a stretch and pause. Fake a look at the runner I can't see at first, then a wind and a whip. The ball is loosed to the microspace between me, Willie, and Duke. In the flashes that make a second, I hear the whir as the ball spins to the zone of strikes, and Duke opens his fat glove to welcome and nestle its entry. Willie begins his act of repelling my offering. My hands go up involuntarily to protect my torso, a God-given defense. I hear the pop of lumber hitting corked leather and string. The ball snakes back in a 1-hop explosion, half a lunge to my left, thigh high. It goes 93 miles an hour, but in my eyes, it is a snowball frozen in air, snatched with my leathered left hand. Don't panic, I think, as my heart thumps with rabbit feet. I spin, see open air over second base. Shortstop and base runner race to the bag with cartoon legs spinning. I throw a 3/4 speed toss to the intersection of points. Shortstop wins the race, catches the toss and throws to first. In a bound, he jumps over the sliding, grasping man, denied his right to property. A double play made. "Good play," says the press man. "That's what practice is for," says the pitching coach. "Damn, you're good," say the teammates. I panicked in the right direction, is what I think. I panicked in the right direction. I've done that a few times, lucky for me. The Double Play by Dan Quisenberry. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to read you one more poem by him. This one not at all baseball related. This poem is called, well, I guess it's sort of baseball related. This short little poem is called Vocations. Vocations. My attorney said, "We've got to get you a job. Get some structure into your life." Oh, I see. But poetry doesn't grow in concrete or in straight black and white lines. And besides that, I don't think well with a suit on. Vocations by Dan Quisenberry. If you'd like to check out more of his poetry, it's pretty easy to get this book. And I do encourage you to support local independent booksellers in these times. It's good for everyone. It's good for you. It's good for the store. It's good for everyone. Dan Quisenberry's collection of poems on days like this. Dan Quisenberry won a World Series with the Kansas City Royals as their closer in 1985. I hope you're enjoying the dogs walking by. I am. The white dog in our house is named June. And the little brown dog who has, and I'm very thankful to this, to him for this, the little brown dog is named Fiorello LaGuardia, or Fio for short. Yes, we named him after the great former mayor of New York City, Fiorello LaGuardia, the little flower. All right, back to the tunes. I'm going to play you a song off the Blue Diamond Band album, Flyover. This is a song that we haven't played live very often because it lends itself more to this sort of setting. But this song is called Milo and the Bars. And that is, of course, Milo as in Ackerman and the Bars as in Black Flag, in case there was any question. Let's see if I can remember it. There it is. Blue dress, fishnets, and on her arms, family crest, the Midwest, Milo and the Bars, and her eyes, and her eyes, said, hi there, you're from where? Nowhere's my home. We played it on and sang along with the stereo. And her eyes, and her eyes, I've been staring down a new enemy these days, begging the wind to blow away the haze. Shut the door, lock that black dog away, toss the key. I've been down in a trench, but I see a little light. Gonna grab this city by the collar tonight. Shake it away, rise up on wings from the deep. On the wind, on the wind, on the wind. A couple shots, parking lot, hanging around. The West was red when she said she's leaving town. So was I. So was I. Gotta find the peace that I'm searching for. These days it's a great parade, but I've seen more. In her eyes, in her eyes, I've been staring down a new enemy these days, begging the wind to blow away the haze. Shut the door, lock that black dog away, toss the key. Tell me, how do you fight something made up of air? Try to strike it down, shout it down, oh Betty, don't care, no, there's only one way. Gotta beg the wind, you gotta beg the wind, gotta beg the wind, you gotta beg the wind. I beg the wind, I beg the wind, I beg the wind. Ah. Blue dress, fishnets, and on her arms, Milo and the bars. Thank you. Milo and the bars. Available now on Don Giovanni Records' record, Flyover, by Nato Coles, that's me, and the Blue Diamond Band. That's 4 other amazing musicians. Now, let's see if I can't pull this segue off. Speaking of Milo, when I get the time, I like to sit down and write a little rhyme for you. Just a couple few. There it is. I'd show you what you mean to me. All right. When I get the time, I'd like to sit down and write a little rhyme for you. Just a couple few, I tell you what you mean to me. When I get the time, I'd put it all down, I'd pick you up, I'd say, throw it all away. The world is me and you tonight. Will there come a day when nothing's standing in our way? Living that dream within your arms. Well, I'll make it happen someday. I'll make it happen someday. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen someday. When I get the time, I gotta get the time. I look in your eyes, warm places inside I've never been before. I gotta find some more. I know you don't owe me anything. When I get the time, when I get the guts to live my life for me and do what I wanna do, I'd be the friend you said you once knew. Will there come a day when we give up and turn away? Then I'd have nothing left except, well, I'd have all the time in the world, all of the time in the world. Time to remember, sit by the window, time to cry, time to cry. I gotta get the time, get the time. All right. I gotta give the time. And that song was called Get the Time by the Descendants. If you tuned in to the Don Giovanni live streaming event where we raised money to make medical grade protective personal equipment masks for Jersey City, you may have heard me play that song one time before. But I thought it might be nice to integrate some harmonica into that one this time. So, Get the Time by the Descendants. I think that's just the most wonderful little pop song by one of my favorite bands ever. Ever, ever, ever. I cannot stress that enough. And I hope you enjoyed my version of it. And if word ever gets to Milo or Bill or what was the lineup on Enjoy? Doug or Tony? Well, Ray. Ray or Doug. I'm slipping. Or Carl or Steven or any of them. I apologize. And no, I will not be playing that song later. No. Pardon me, June. So, let's watch some dogs do some tricks. Dogs. Theo. There you go. Can you do that little stand-up move? Can you stand up? Good boy. June, can you lie down? Can you lie down? Can you roll over? Roll over. Oh, good dog. Good dog. Good dog. Okay. You guys are so good. You did tricks for the people. It's like they're watching David Letterman or something. All right. Here we go. 2 more treats. There you go. Now get out of here, you good dogs. All right. What I'd like now is to play another brand new song for you. This one technically has been performed in front of a live streaming audience once. No less than Will Olson, formerly of the Frozen Teens, currently of one of the bands Sarah Pett is in, Lifestyle. Wait a minute. Please. Wait, excuse me. Constant Insult. Good Lord, I'm slipping. Constant Insult. I got my Wills from the Frozen Teens confused. It happens, people. Has said that this is a good song. We'll see if he's right. And coming up right after that, we're going to have a reading from a great novel. And for that one, I'll need my 2 roommates to help me after this. This song is called Strangers' Backyards. I would say the inspiration came from thinking about what I see out the window of the observation car of an Amtrak while riding from Milwaukee to Minneapolis, or I guess St. Paul actually, and back. Strangers' Backyards. It's another new one. Hope you like it. I hope I'm in tune. You finally did it. You broke away. Settled nothing except what you had to pay. All aboard Amtrak in a misty rain, headed southbound, feeling no pain. Strangers' backyards, toys in grass, broken motorcycles, old tomcats, looking out the window while you're playing cards. Strangers' backyards. Times together, bottles in cars. Before they banned smoking in bars. Finally did it now, had to do it right. What's one more word? One less fight. Strangers' backyards, toys in grass, Winnebagos with flat tires, old Tomcats, looking out a window while you're playing cards. Strangers' backyards. You're still the same. You were always the same. The days are sundials now in a misty rain. And if I see you again, strangers' backyards, tables and chairs, chain link fences, little children's stairs. Finally made it. It was in the cards. Strangers' backyards. Strangers' backyards. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the new songs today, everybody. It's a treat to be able to play them and see the movement on my screen that from a distance indicates people are watching and enjoying this live stream midday hangout. For those just tuning in who aren't sure, maybe we've got a couple Don Giovanni stragglers. My name is Nato Coles. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I hope you're all staying healthy, both physically and mentally. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but these are challenging times, and you really need to remind yourself at times that you only need to do what you can do. You shouldn't listen to all these weird-ass proclamations that say things like, oh, now's a great time to learn the second language. Now's a great time to build a chicken coop. Now, I'd love to learn a second language, and I would love to build a chicken coop. And hell, I just might do both those things this year. But the point is, you don't have to. Take care of yourself. Don't forget to listen to good music. Don't forget. That's a big one. You can have the news on, the radio on, and all that yak, 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 and Trump this and Mitch McConnell that, and yeah, it's all terrible. But turn it off once in a while. Turn it off. It'll be there for you when you want it again. And in the meantime, listen to The Descendants more or something. Whatever your favorite music is. Lucinda Williams, whatever you love. Now, that said, I also encourage you to read a book. Read a book. Read some poetry by a retired baseball player who died of brain cancer. You wouldn't believe how affecting it can be. Just that Dan Quisenberry poetry book is so good. I just love it. I also am a very big fan of the novel Blood Meridian. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy is not exactly a happy read, so perhaps it wasn't the perfect choice for a reading in these times, but at times it's a funny read. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Cranberry and Sarah Pett, who are going to help me read a part from a chapter of Blood Meridian. Now, guys, I think if one of you's on the couch and one of you's on the floor, I think this will work.
Okay.
You read my mind, Mike. Now, for those keeping score, this is the contents of our house. We are maintaining social distancing from people we don't live with, but everybody on screen right now, everybody lives in the same house, and so let's face it, if one of us caught the damn virus, all of us have it. So think about it. This is how you do it, folks. Hang out with your roommates. Maybe go to a park with non-roommates. All right. So this looks like Sarah page 2. This looks like Sarah page 1. This looks like Mike. Mike, you are yellow. Mm-hmm. I am on me. I got mine. And Sarah, you I think are yellow. So you got a lot of reading to do. You volunteered to be the narrator. This is going to be a little rough because we rehearsed this exactly 1/2 of a time, but I think we can pull it off. So, I'd like to set the scene, and then Sarah, as narrator, will take over. The novel Blood Meridian concerns an especially brutal time in the history of the nations of both the United States and Mexico, not to mention the Indian nations that inhabited the southwest of West Texas, northern Chihuahua, northern Sonora, southern New Mexico, southern Arizona, southern California, and northern Baja California. Baja California, of course, just means lower California, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. It was not a fun time. It was a time for brutal men. And I mean brutal, and I mean men. There was a mercenary gang of Indian killers, murderers, hired by the governor of the Mexican state of Chihuahua to hunt a tribe down that was attacking the villages of Chihuahua. This scene takes place one night on the meanderings of that gang of mercenaries across the Southwest. The characters are, other than the narrator, who is Sarah. Sarah will be reading the part of the narrator. The characters are a man by the name of Marcus Webster, part of the brutal gang, and a character named Judge Holden, who is, well, if you want to know more about him, read the book. But he's something else. Mike will be playing Marcus Webster, and I will be playing the part of the judge. The judge is often described in the book as a big, huge, bald, hairless man. So pretend I don't have sideburns. And that I'm much bigger than I am. The gang. From that night.
That night, they camped in the ruins of an older culture deep in the Stone Mountains, a small valley with a clear run of water and good grass. Dwellings of mud and stone were walled up beneath an overhanging cliff, and the valley was traced with the work of old acequias. The loose sand in the valley floor was strewn everywhere with pieces of pottery and blackened bits of wood, and it was crossed and recrossed with the tracks of deer and other animals. The judge walked the ruins at dusk, the old rooms still black with wood smoke, old flints and broken pottery among the ashes and small dry corn cobs. A few rotting wooden ladders yet leaned against the dwelling walls. He roamed through the ruinous kivas, picking up small artifacts, and he sat upon a high wall and sketched in his book until the light failed. The moon rose full over the canyon, and there was stark silence in the little valley. It may be It was their own shadows kept the coyotes from abroad, for there was no sound of them, or wind, or bird in that place, but only the light rill of water running over the sand in the dark below their fires. The judge all day had made small forays among the rocks of the gorge through which they passed, and now at the fire he spread part of a wagon sheet on the ground, and was sorting out his finds and arranging them before him. In his lap he held the leather ledger book, and he took up each piece, flint or potsherd or tool of bone, and deftly sketched it into the book. He sketched with a practiced ease, and there was no wrinkling of that bald brow or pursing of those oddly childish lips.
That's me.
His fingers traced the impression of old willow wicker on a piece of pottery clay, and he put into this book with nice shadings, an economy of pencil strokes. He is a draftsman, as he is other things, well sufficient to the task. He looks up from time to time at the fire, or at his companions in arms, or at the night beyond. Lastly, he set before him the footpiece from a suit of armor hammered out in a shop in Toledo 3 centuries before, a small steel tapadero frail and shelled with rot. This the judge sketched in profile and in perspective, citing the dimensions in his neat script, making marginal notes. Glenton watched him. When he had done, he had took up the little footguard and turned it in his hand and studied it again, and then he crushed it into a ball of foil and pitched it into the fire. He gathered up the other artifacts and cast them also into the fire, and he shook out the wagon sheet and folded it away among his possibles together with the notebook. Then he sat with his hands cupped in his lap, and he seemed much satisfied with the world, as if his counsel had been sought at its creation. A Tennessean named Webster had been watching him, and he asked the judge what he aimed to do with those notes and sketches, and the judge smiled and said,
"It's my intention to expunge them from the memory of man."
Webster smiled, and the judge laughed. Webster regarded him with one eye asquint, and he said,
"Well, you've been a draftsman somewheres, and them pictures is like enough to the things themselves. But no man could put all the world in a book, no more than everything drawed in a book is so."
Well said, Marcus.
But don't draw me, for I don't want in your book.
My book or some other book, what is to be deviates no jot from the book wherein it's writ. How could it? It would be a false book, and a false book is no book at all.
You're a formidable riddler, and I'll not match words with ye. Only save my crusted mug from out your ledger, therefore I'd not have it shown about, perhaps, to strangers.
The judge smiled.
Whether in my book or not, every man is tabernacled in every other, and he in exchange, and so on in an endless complexity of being and witness to the uttermost edge of the world.
And I'll stand for my own witness.
By now the others had begun to call to him his conceit. And who would want to see his bloody portrait anyway? And would there be fights break out in the great crowds awaiting its unveiling? And perhaps they can tar and feather the picture, lacking the article itself, until the judge raised his hand and called for amnesty, and told them that Webster's feelings were of a different kind and not motivated by vanity and all that.
I'd once drawn an old Waco's portrait, and unwittingly chained the man to his own likeness, for he could not sleep, for fear an enemy might take it and deface it, and so like was the portrait that he would not suffer it creased, nor anything to touch it, and he made a journey across the desert with it to where he'd heard I was to be found, and he begged my counsel as to how he might preserve the thing, and we went deep into the mountains, and we buried the portrait in the floor of a cave, where it lies yet, for all I know.
When he was done telling this, Webster spat and wiped his mouth and eyed the judge again.
That man was no more than an ignorant heathen.
That's so.
It ain't like that with me.
Excellent. You've no objection to a sketch, then?
I'll sit for no portrait, but it ain't like you said.
The company fell silent. Someone rose to stoke the fire, and the moon ascended and grew small over the ruined dwellings, and the little stream braided over the sands in the valley floor, shone like woven metal, and save for the sound it made there was no sound other.
What kind of Indians has these here been, Judge?
The judge looked up.
Dead ones now, I'd say. What about you, Judge?
Not so dead.
Well, they was passable Masons, I'd say that. These hereabouts now ain't no kind.
Not so dead.
Then he told them another story, and it was this story.
Put down your chainsaw and listen to me. It's time for us to join in the fight. It's time to let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Time to let the bedbugs bite. You better put all your eggs in one basket. You better count your chickens before they hatch. You better sell some wine before it's time. Better find yourself an itch to scratch. You better squeeze all the Charmin you can when Mr. Whipple's not around. Stick your head in the microwave and get yourself a tan. Knock with your mouth full. Bite the hand that feeds you. Bite on more than you can chew. What can you do? Dare to be stupid. Take some wooden nickels. Look for Mr. Goodbar. Get your mojo working now. I'll show you how. Dare to be stupid. It's like spitting on a fish. It's like barking up a tree. It's like I said, you gotta buy one if you wanna get one free. Dare to be stupid. Dare to be stupid. So easy to do. We're all waiting for you. Burn your candle at both ends. Look a gift horse in the mouth. Mashed potatoes can be your friends. Well, you can be a coffee achiever. You can sit around the house and watch Leave It to Beaver. The future's up to you. So what you gonna do? Dare to be stupid. Well, folks, I hope you had as much fun as I have had, but the time grows short, and so I must bid you adieu. Thank you for listening to the music I played, for tuning in. Thank you to Sarah and Mike for helping me out with that reading from Blood Meridian. I love you all. Stay healthy, stay well, be excellent to each other. Thank you, Joe and Don Giovanni Records. I'm Nato Coles. See you later. Oh, and thanks to my dogs.